multiplying and dividing, you could do the reverse to double check your answer. Addition and subtraction are related the same way. Okay? Now, it tells us to find the value, which we know the value of a subtraction problem is called the difference. So we have 622 and 35 hundredths. Remember, tenths, hundredths. How many of them? 35. We always line up that decimal when we subtract. So we have 71 and 4 tenths. And we can go ahead and drop that decimal on down. Now remember, if it helps you, if you need to put a 0 there, that's fine. If you read it now, it would be 71 and 40 hundredths. 40 hundredths. If we divided each of those by 10 to simplify, we would have 4 tenths. And so if we don't have that 0 there, how would we say it? We would say 4 tenths. So that makes sense, doesn't it? That 40 hundredths is the same as 4 tenths. It's just been simplified. Okay, and then we just subtract as usual. So we would have 5 minus 0 is 5. Can't take that from 3, so he would have to borrow from him. When we borrow a whole one, it's like borrowing 10 tenths. So now you would have 13 tenths. 13 minus 4 is 9. 1 minus 1 is 0. Can't take 7 from 2, so he would have to borrow. 12 minus 7 is 5, and 5 minus nothing is 5. So the difference is 550 and 95 hundredths. And now we know that we can double check and make sure, since we had to do a lot of borrowing, we can take the difference, 550 and 95 hundredths, and add it back to what we took away. So 71 and 4 tenths, or we put that 0 to make it 40 hundredths. Again, remember, it's the same value. So we have 5 plus 0 is 5. 9 plus 4 is 13. 1 plus 1 is 2. 5 plus 7 is 12. Carry the 1. And 5 plus 1 is 6. And if we drop that decimal down, we have 622 and 35 hundredths. And that is what we started out with in the beginning. So yeah, our answer definitely checks out. Okay, it says Elena and Andre found the value of 622 and 35 hundredths minus 71 and 4 tenths. Who do you agree with? Well, you just did all of this, so let's see. Elena, 5 minus 4 is 1, and 3 minus 1 is 2, and her borrowing, well, she's a little off on her, yeah, her borrowing, she's okay on her borrowing. Well, no, when he borrowed a whole one, he should have been a 12, not just a 1, so she kind of messed up, but also, she didn't line her decimals up, did she? And we know we have to line our decimals up when we're subtracting decimal numbers. And she says it makes sense that her answer is 615 and 21 hundredths because it's less than this. And it is, but it's not but 10, not but about 10 less, is it? And she was taking away 70 something, so that really should have told her right there she did something a little wrong. So let's look at Andre's. Now Andre, he lined up all of his decimals, and 5 minus 0 is 5, and he borrowed over here, and he borrowed some more, Well, it looks like he did it right, but I'm not really sure, so let's double check that for Andre. We can take the difference, 550 and 95 hundredths, plus what he took away, 71 and 40 hundredths. And remember, 40 hundredths is the same as 4 tenths. Okay, we have 5 plus 0 is 5. 9 plus 4 is 13. 1 plus 1 is 2. 5 plus 7 is 12. Carry the 1. And 1 plus 5 is 6. And we bring that decimal down. Well, 622 and 35 hundredths. Well, that's what we started with. And look, what did we start with? We started with his difference and added back, and we got this. So did Andre do everything correctly? Yeah, and his answer makes sense. He said it makes sense because this is about 620 and this is about 70, which would be 550. So it makes sense that the answer is just right at 550. So we always want to check, just kind of do some estimates and check. Does your answer make sense? Is it reasonable? Okay, now this one, it gives us the exact same digits, sevens, 4s, 2s, 6, and 3s, but they're in different places. So let's look at what happens if we